Mm. Hello, there we are. We're live. Hello, welcome to Live at 5 on Friday, the 4th of August. The applications to join this month's intake for the Mounted Division Ultimate Rider Confidence course is now open. Those of you that have applied already, you'll be getting an email through to take you to the next step. The next step of which is to read through the course, see the testimonials, and then if you still are interested in doing the course, then book a phone call and we'll make sure that we're a correct fit. So it's a process where we get to know each other, because it's a 3-month course. It's a deep dive into psychology, the psychology of riders, what's been stopping us getting on horses. So I want to make sure that it's the right course for you before we commit to 3 months of working together. So we have a nice phone call and some very revealing phone calls as well. I don't accept everybody. Sometimes people phone up and it's not the right fit. There's other processes going on. But if you want the psychology of riding, if you want to overcome the psychological barriers that have been holding you back from riding, this is it. I can't guarantee that I'll get that mindset for you, but I can guarantee that lots of other people have had that change of mindset. And if you do the work, I can't see any reason why you... I mean, the advertising line that I've got, switch fear into excitement, is the genuine thing. You got to condense these things down to advertising taglines. But I have had enough success stories from people who were too frightened to get on their horse and are now doing the most incredible things. I don't want to reveal anybody's story, so I'm not going to go much deeper. If you have done the Ultimate Rider Confidence course and would like to put a comment going, yes, that was me, that would be absolutely marvelous. So the Ultimate Rider Confidence course is the psychology of riding. I have been doing... Oh, by the way, if you're on... Oh, lovely. Thank you, Joe. Not only have you said it works, the course works, thank you, but also you've reassured me that the audio is working. It's... Right, I was a hypnotherapist. Even the story why I became a hypnotherapist is linked to this whole course. So I started riding when I was 36, which has given me a massive advantage, because I can remember with my adult brain what it felt like to get on that horse. And when you got on it, the saddle wasn't solid like on a bike or on a motorbike or in a car. The saddle wobbled, especially at the riding school where I went to, which had some fat old cobs. But there we are. The saddle wobbled, and where were the handlebars? They're nowhere. You got 2 ears up there, but I'm sure you don't hold on to those. I remember it feeling that insecure. It was horrible, actually. It was horrible. The horse didn't listen to me at all, and just sort of took itself round and then went and stood in the middle of the school and shook itself. And all these surly teenage girls that had got it together and put the saddle on, all sitting there looking at me, and it was like, I can't get this horse to move. It was just horrible. But what serves me well is I remember. So I remember feeling that I couldn't do anything with this horse and being so frightened. I remember people saying stuff that isn't true. But here's the thing. I had worked with horses long enough, because I remember I pulled trees out of the woods for 7 years. So I drove horses before I learnt to ride. And I only learnt to ride so that I could do the jousting shows. I was a little woodsy, making charcoal and singing songs. That was me. And I had my little horse, and it pulled wood out, and we made charcoal. It was lovely. It was lovely, actually. Working in the woods is actually horrible. If anybody wants to work in the woods, oh, I want to be a forester, you're mostly in plantation. I've gone completely off the subject. I do apologize. You're mostly in plantation, and it smells and it's horrible, and the pine smell gets under your nails. But if you work with the horses, they go into the broadleaf side, because that's where the site of special scientific interest, maybe it's got special plants or special nesting birds or whatever, something, some ecosystem, which means you can't take tractors in. So I already, oh, it was lovely. I had my big old horse, Trojan, and we used to pull wood all morning, and then we sit down and have our tea break. Because we were in the broadleaf side of things, it was light, it was airy, there was dragonflies, there was deer. It was idealistic. Anyway, back to the subject. I'd been driving horses for 7 years before I got round to riding them, and I only wanted to ride them because pulling the wood out is a winter job, and because in the spring you get the ground nesting birds and all this and that. And I got summer jobs, and I got a summer job at Lulworth Castle, and I was presenting the joust, and the knights were all galloping about on horses, and I thought they're having a much better time than I am, so I went off with them. So anyway, I learned to ride. So I was an adult, 36. Remember the horse being all wobbly. Remember the saddle not feeling very secure. I remember there being no handlebars. I remember not being able to control the horse. I remember the frustration. Oh gosh, my heart bleeds for anybody going through that at the moment. Yes, absolutely. So I also remember when I got to the livery yard, people lying, people saying stuff that isn't true. It lays the other people who owned horses there, all the livery yard chat, all the standard livery yard chat, it lays awake at night wondering what it's going to do to me was quite a stunning one, because the owner of that horse genuinely believed that the horse laid awake at night wondering what it was going to do to her the next day. And I was saying, yeah, it doesn't though, does it? She's like, no, it does. It's like, yeah, but it doesn't though, does it? And it's like, yeah, it does. And then all these lies that the horses are going to kick your head in, basically, or some way to have your demise. Anyway, that got to me. Actually, it did get to me, even though I knew it was lies. It got to me that people were doing this, and I wasn't so well into horses that I knew for firm that it was lies. I did know because I'd worked with horses for 7 years, but nonetheless, I've gone to a new environment. And it's like, oh, is this right? Is this right? And part of my decision to go and be a hypnotherapist, I've always been a bit wordy, and I liked writing and things like that. So I've always fancied being able to make a career out of my voice. And I thought, I'm going to go and be a hypnotherapist. So if anything happens to me with my job doing the films and doing the shows, if I get hurt and I can't ride anymore, I want a backup plan. Isn't that weird? Because as I went through my hypnotherapy course, which was with the Clifton Practice in Bristol, and it's solution-focused hypnotherapy, not analytical hypnotherapy, which was very popular in the 80s, all the false memories that are bandied about. This is solution focused, where you are and where you need to go. It it does put your fears into perspective, that you are the person to solve them. Now I'm literally waving my hands, but this is it. When people came for their hypnotherapy, that you may think that hypnotherapy is going to be stop smoking and lose weight. It's not. It's stress, anxiety, and depression. Now, that's overwhelmingly what it is. But isn't that the same? You are the person to deal with your fears. If you've got a fear of the emails that are piling up, or the actual mail, the bills that are all behind the clock and you don't look at them, this is where people are losing control of their lives, because they're frightened. They're frightened of the emails. They're frightened of the of the bills, they're frightened of the phone calls because of something that's going on in their head. Now, we are designed to be able to do emails, and we are designed to be able to sort out our finances, and we are designed to be able to take the challenges that come and apply our mental strategies to whatever it is we're doing. Anyway, so there's me talking about stress, anxiety, and depression, whilst I am still anxious that I'm going to get hurt by a horse doing these shows. And then I thought, well, hang on, I'll just apply this to myself. If I can sit on a bunch of angry emails or whatever people have in their life, maybe you've got social anxiety, maybe you've got an anxiety about yourself, about your autism, about your stutter, about whatever. If you've got your anxiety, the process of dealing with that anxiety is the same. It's just as hard to sit on a business that's throwing itself about and snorting and jumping and whirling about as it is to sit on a horse that's jumping about and whirling and snorting and jumping about. And as I spoke to people more, I realized that the people who are thinking the horse lays awake at night wondering what it's going to do to me, and the people who are thinking it's the most dangerous hobby that you can do, and the people that are thinking, have you seen the way that it twitches when a gnat lands on it? How's it going to react to your leg? And the people who are thinking, oh, it can hear your heart beating from 3 fields away, and the people who are thinking that in some other way the horse is out to get them or they're going to get hurt. Well, that anxiety should be copable with. And if you're not coping with it, 2 things might be happening. One, what might be happening is that your internal coping mechanisms are for some reason not dealing with the horse in that way, not dealing with your fears, not realizing that you are the one to deal with this. Quite simply, you are the one to deal with this. You deal with everything in your life. You deal with bringing up kids and choosing schools and PTA meetings and careers and crossing the road and driving your car and your car breaks down. You deal with it, you deal with it, you deal with it. When life gets hard and then your parents die, you've got to deal with that as well. And it all feels on top, but we are designed to cope. And we've all got stories of when it was coming on top, but we are designed to cope. So we are designed to cope with things like horses and the fear, the catastrophizing, if that's the right word. You can catastrophize about anything. You can think that anything's going to turn into a disaster. Your career's going to turn into a disaster. Your relationship's going to turn into a disaster. Your self-esteem's going to turn into a disaster. You could, but on the whole, we don't. On the whole, we're happy, serotonin-filled little creatures that go around quite nicely. So if you're not getting on with your horse, something's going wrong in it. And it's either that you're not applying these normal coping mechanisms to your horses, or, and this is where I hit my stride, or you're having those insecurities constantly reinforced. And as I watch these people on the livery yard, the leisure riders who don't do it for work, I realized that a lot of it, and those nervous rider pages, the Facebook pages, a lot of that as well, is constantly bringing up the lies about horses. Oh, don't mount a horse from the ground. Have you seen the way that it pulls its back about? You're going to put its back out. You're not. You're not. You weigh nothing compared to a horse. Don't fidget. Sit deep. I'm going right off subject here. Sit deep. Sit deep. Don't fidget. No, for God's sakes, fidget. Move around. Move around if you want to. Behave naturally. If you've got instructors shouting at you to sit deep, or whatever phrase they might want to use. I mean, people can interpret that how they like. I mean, it nearly makes no sense at all. It's your best guess of what sit deep means. But basically, they mean don't fidget. So you're sitting there like a statue, or maybe like a lion that's about to pounce, and you're just not behaving naturally at all. So these constant, and the reason why people are saying don't fidget is because you're going to hurt the horse. You're going to put its back out. You're going to make it distressed, you're going to make it bolt. Nonsense. Nonsense. Have you seen the cowboys in Australia who rope a cattle and swing it around their heads? They're fidgeting. They're fidgeting like nobody's business, and the horse is quite happy to do that. If you've got somebody constant, could you imagine if it was different? If you've got a few problems at work, and then you've got a livery yard's worth of people. How many people are on a livery yard? Let's say 40 people traipsing through your front room, picking up all the emails and going, look, this one's an absolute disaster. Going behind the clock and picking up the bill, going, do you know what's going to happen if you don't pay that immediately? Picking up the phone and going, this person's really angry and it's for you. I'm going to phone them back for you. You'd soon collapse, wouldn't you? That's what's happening in the horsey terms on livery yards. So our brains are designed to cope. And if we ain't coping, if we're not moving on with our horse and enjoying them, well, these two, they're having a great time, then we need to do something about it. And not coping with your social life, career, relationship, self-esteem was what I was working at, and I was seeing it played out exactly the same way on the livery yards. It was a revelation. And to think that it was my insecurity that I was going to get hurt on a horse doing jousting or whatever that made me go and get the hypnotherapy diploma anyway and become a hypnotherapist. I was a hypnotherapist for about 4 years before I'd gone into the rider confidence. And then people would say, can you show me rearing and falling off and such like? And they came in with all their lies, that it's the most dangerous hobby you can do. The horse is laying awake thinking what it can do to you, blah, blah, blah. And they lie in a way, exaggerate in a way. And I found that a huge deal of my work had gone from the physicality of this is how to cope with a rear to this is how to think about horses, because they're not out to get you. Horses are safe. Get that one. Horses are safe in the same way that Volvos are safe. And aeroplanes are safe. Aeroplanes are the safest form of transport ever invented. But of course, if you've got a fear of aeroplanes, it doesn't seem that way. A Volvo is the safest car in the world. But somebody somewhere has got an Uncle Jeff that walks with a permanent limp because he had a Volvo. And we're off again. Anyway, so this is why I started focusing more and more on the mindset. It's the mindset that's stopping you from getting on your horses. I tried to cram it all down into an hour before we got on the horses and did losing our balance and rearing and falling and such like. And that hour got longer and longer because what happened was people would come up with problems that they had, objections that they had as to why they can't get on their horse. And I'd incorporate that into my talk. So after I'd been doing the Rider Confidence for 4 years, 5 years, my mindset part of it, well, to be honest, it took a long time in the morning and I had to speak faster and faster and faster and faster to get it all done. But then I'd carry on this conversational change of mindset, conversational hypnosis almost throughout the day. And I've got really good at it, to be quite honest. And I see people actually get transformations during the day, the one day here. The main moment that made me know that I have this right was when people have come to the Rider Confidence course to learn how to rear and how to fall off. That had become about 10% of the value of the course. And there was one moment in the course which I said, when your fear responses, your panic brain, your primitive brain, when that latches onto something, it will try to survive if it sees a threat, whether the threat is real or not, whether the threat is the emails behind, the bills behind your clock or the emails on your computer. When it perceives a threat, it will respond with stress, anxiety, and depression. That is survival strategies. It's what it does to survive. Anger, anxiety, and depression. That leads to stress. Anger, obviously, because if you're in a survival situation, you've got to fight. It makes you stronger than usual and more impervious to pain. That's what anger does. However, it's no good against those bills behind the clock, is it? It's like, oh, bloody bills. Oh, it's no good getting angry. It doesn't serve us, but we're still under attack. So this is how our primitive works. It's as thick as anything. Our primitive mind is so thick that I can talk directly about it and it doesn't even know. Anxiety makes sense. If you're in an actual life and death situation, lions, tigers and bears behind every tree and bush, then it pays to be not too far from your panic button. And depression, of course, a way of saving energy. Winter's here, we're all depressed. Let's not feel all positive and run out in the snow to catch a rabbit. Let's just hide in bed and not get up ever, which is all right when we're in our cave, saves energy, stops us feeling optimistic and going out in the ice age. But in our modern world, it's no good at all. So when I said we will respond with survival strategies, stress, anxiety, and anger, anxiety, and depression, this moment went round the room. Because remember, people have come to learn how to do rearing. They've come to learn how to do falling. They haven't come to be told, you're depressed. And 80% of the people who come to the Rider Confidence course have got anger, anxiety, and depression issues. Well, that can't be a coincidence, is it? You're not coping with the everyday dangers of a safe hobby. And you should be coping, because you cope with the everyday dangers of crossing the road, going around a roundabout, riding a bicycle, going swimming, your career, your relationships, your school, your social network. So if you're not coping with your lovely hobby that's supposed to bring you peace and love and adventure and everything else, well, something's wrong. Your primitive brain is seeing a danger. I'm away then, aren't I? It's like, right, I need to arrange a course where everything that people have said I can address. So what excuses are stopping you getting on your horse? Well, obviously, firstly, it's going to be anxiety, isn't it? I haven't got the confidence. That's why you're interested in a rider confidence course. I haven't got the confidence. I'm anxious. Right. So we're perceiving more danger. 80%, again, this 80-20% appears everywhere. 80% of the people who go to the first phone call say, it's not my horse. I have to say, in the phone call, is your horse dangerous? It's like, oh, I'm scared the horse is going to do this. I'm scared it's going to do that. And I say, in reality, is it going to do that? Is it dangerous? 80% of people go, no. And of those people who are a bit like, oh, it might do, I said, okay, hang on. If you got a more confident rider, this is a good question. If you got a more confident rider to get on your horse, would it bolt off? If you got, at the moment when the horse asks a question, oh, I don't like this, and it's time for you to kick it on and say, get on, I'm in charge here, I'm telling you this is all right, would it explode? Most people say no. And those that say, oh, I don't know, maybe, I say, what about if you got your instructor on and it came to the thing that it didn't like or the thing it questions about, and it's like, oh, is this all right? And your instructor went, get on, I'll tell you if it's not all right. It's none of your business, this, get on. Would the horse then explode? And they said no. And to be honest, I've never had somebody say yes. And if they said yes, I'd say, well, it sounds like you've got a dangerous horse. Most people then turn around and say, and by most people, I mean all of them, then turn around and say, I know it's not the horse, it's all me, it's all up here. That's why I've done the course. It's nothing. And I'd say, Is it a lack of knowledge? That's quite an important question. Is horse dangerous? No. Well, is it a lack of knowledge? Because that's super easy. If it's a lack of knowledge, then you just need some more lessons. Easy peasy. And they kind of go, oh no, not really. I mean, you can always learn something more. And I said, look, in reality, just give me it straight. Do you know what you're doing? And when you say it blunt and straight like that, they go, yeah, yeah, I know what I'm doing. So here we are. The horse isn't dangerous, and you know what you're doing. And then, of course, we get into the psychology of it, and I say, and do you therefore not have any self-belief that it's time to put your leg on and do what you know to do? And they go, yes, that's it completely. And this is where we are again. Same self-belief that means you can't keep up with your bills, or you can't answer your emails if you're that kind of person. A huge amount of people aren't that kind of person, though. They've got their work in order. No one messes them about. They've got their business in order. The kids' school is in order. And then for some reason, they don't feel that this real you can take horses and put them in order as well. I think maybe it's because it's the leisure horses. It might be something that you do your work because you have to. You do your school because you have to. You do your this, that, and the other because you have to. You do your grandma's funeral because you have to. And it's not always, it's not just the pleasant things of life that you have to. There you are, you have to. Then you got your horses where you'll ride them if you feel like it. I've got great advantage. I have to ride them. Yeah, I have to. There we are. So I do. So that's how I get that into my work-like mode. So can you see how it all boils down to the psychology, and all the excuses as to why you're not getting on your horse I've addressed on this online course, because I've had 10 years, 11 years, 12 years now. 12 years. Where's my life going? I've had 12 years of people coming to the Rider Confidence course and saying, but that's all very well, Carl, but what you're saying doesn't apply to me because I haven't got the time, for example, to do what you do. I haven't got the time to do this. All right for you. You work there. I haven't got the time. Well, now we're down to a timetabling issue. And when you boil it down and you say, well, you're down to a timetabling issue, are you in charge of your timetable? Do you do your timetables properly? You can see I'm going straight into the psychology again. From my hypnotherapy degree, we'd get business people in, stressed out their heads, and it's because they're overwhelmed with work, and it's because they're not timetabling properly, which could mean delegating in terms of their work. But in your home situation, I'm not getting on the horse and doing what I know that I need to do. It could be the home family version of delegating, which is prioritizing yourself. When you manage to carve out an hour for you to go down the stables, do you then prioritize that, or does somebody from your family come in and go, oh, you've got to give me a lift to so-and-so, or you've got to sort this out, and you're like, oh, well, it's only me and my horse. I'll drop that because this is for the greater good. And you constantly do that, and then you've not prioritized yourself. Well, you need to prioritize yourself. In the same way, you're important to the family, to your social situation, in the same way that they say when the aeroplane oxygen mask drop down, put yours on first so that you can help the others. If you break down and put everybody else first, well, we need to sort that out. How do you sort out prioritizing yourself? Well, that's psychology again. NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, that little voice that says that you're not a real horse rider. I'm a novice. That's a great one. That self-labeling. I'm a novice. I'm a people. I had this the other week, actually. People go up to somebody new at a horsey camp or whatever, and they go, hello, my name's Dave. I'm a really nervous rider. And that's how they introduce themselves. Well, this is NLP through and through, neuro-linguistic programming. This little way that your voice ticks over. What else have we had? People's self-image going, obviously catastrophizing, and then you get anxiety, anger, and depression because you're visualizing everything going awful. Then you've got everybody else's influence going on you until you firmly believe. When you first got a horse, you probably firmly believed that you were going to be these people here galloping along the beach. That was going to be you. That soon stopped with enough people telling you that it lays awake at night wondering what it's going to do to you and sharing stories of horror until you're kind of like, right, okay, my goal isn't to run along the beach like these people here. My goal is to not get hurt. Wow, great goal. I just bought a horse for 3,000 quid. I'm spending 6,000 quid a year getting someone to look after it. And my ambition is to not get hurt. Whoopee. So when you find yourself sitting on the sofa, having firmly decided, or even not firmly, subconsciously decided, with everybody's stories around you, I just want to not get hurt. Well, your subconscious is going to go, do you know what the best way to not get hurt is? To stay here and watch Toy Story 3. I've just sat there and watched Toy Story 1 and 2. Let's stay here. And then you're going, I don't know what it is. I've got no motivation to get. Of course, you've got no motivation. It's like, where's your motivation to go and get hurt? It's bloody ridiculous. But there we are. But this is the motivation. Where am I? Oh, it's all lefty righty. This is the motivation to think this could be you. In fact, this is you if you decide to go and get it. There's a job to do. That is to recreate this photo. Have a look at that beach. You could probably do that on Holcombe Beach. There you are. I've even told you where to do it. This is a job you got to do. You could go and do it. But of course, it's all disappeared. The goal has disappeared. So there's an objection. I've got no reason to get on the horse other than to not get hurt. I've got no ambitions for it. I don't care if I gallop on the beach or not. Well, that wasn't the case 15 years ago when you were saving up your £3,000 to get your horse. You were definitely going galloping on the beach then. So we need to find our ambition. We need to find our goal. We need to find out why we're on the buggers in the first place. And that's another module of the Ultimate Rider Confidence course. Every objection. So I've got a goals section. It's 3 months long, this course. 3 months long. And I'm with you once a week on Zoom, making sure that everything in the course, all the videos, everything's working all right, and you're following the course on. It's a gentle bit of pressure to do the course, a bit of accountability, and to make sure that everything's clear and I haven't left anything out or you haven't understood something. So we've got NLP section to make sure that your self-identity is of somebody who likes riding and is quite enjoying getting better. That's a good self-identity, much better than the one I was mentioning earlier. We've got how your mind works and how you perceive threats from everybody else telling you all these awful things that horses are going to do, and the internet, and people who don't know about horse. People who know nothing about horses imagine that they're dangerous and then communicate that to you. And if you're in that mood, you believe them. They know nothing. They know nothing. They've imagined something that doesn't happen, and now you're not getting on your horse because of it. And if you think I'm exaggerating, try being the only rider in your family. The rest of your family know nothing about horses, and then they sit there going, you're going to kill yourself on that bloody horse. So we need to deal with them. We need to deal with perception, risk perception, and that can be dealt with in exactly the same way as the hypnosis and hypnotherapy that I did for my clients when they were perceiving that their emails were on top of them and their bills were on top of them and everything else. How we cope with the perceived threat is hardwired into us that we can do it, and we do it. Look how successful we are as a species. We are designed to overcome problems. And if you ain't overcoming your problem, something's gone wrong, some filter's gone out, and that was my job and is my job as far as horses go. So we've got how your mind works, we've got hypnotherapy sessions, I've got how hypnotherapy works, how to apply these rules to yourself. We've got goals so that you know what you're doing. We've got self-assertiveness so that when these voices come along and they're like, you're doing it all wrong and you're following a program, well, you could do without that. With horses and with yourself, when you make a decision that this is the way I'm going to train natural horsemanship, I'm going to train classical, I'm going to train Western, or even down to the small bits. When I lead the horse, I want it to be at my shoulder, because I've been listening to Carl Greenwood and that's how he leads his horses. Some people lead them different ways, but you're leading at your shoulder. When you make a decision, stick to the decision 100%. If it proves to be wrong later down the line, it's like, oh, damn, I shouldn't have done that. I should have trained it a different way or whatever. The worst thing you can do is flick, flack, flick, flack. So you're leading the horse at your shoulder, and then somebody says, you shouldn't lead your horse at your shoulder. It means that his head's in front of you and he's going to take the lead. And then you start pulling the horse back so that his nose is level with your shoulder. And then someone says, oh, you shouldn't do that. You should let them self-carry themselves, and you should let them just look around and so they can make their own mind up. Well, now you're doing a third. Don't flick flack. Make your decision and stick to it. It's hard to stick to it when you've got everybody else giving their full penny's worth. It's worth noticing that they don't get on their horses an awful lot, and they're probably scared of their horses, but they're so quick to tell you what you're doing wrong, especially if they're ahead of you, because they're after status. They know they feel bad because they're not getting that horsey fulfillment from their own horses. So they just scout around, and then they see you, who's a bit more of a novice, and over they come just to reassure themselves, I'm so horsey. So we need to have that self-assertiveness that can say, thank you for your input. I'm going to do it my way. This self-assertiveness includes OPOs, other people's opinions, and everything that will put you off what you want to do with your horse. That's quite important, the self-assertiveness. We need to change our self-image, which we'll do using NLP techniques and all the other little voices, including the catastrophizing voices. How hypnotherapy works. I've had people object that they haven't got the time, which I was talking about earlier. Well, this is simple time management. Time management and prioritizing yourself. Prioritizing yourself, that you're as important as anybody else, is part of the NLP world. Time management, super practical. It's like the amount of time you're going to dedicate to one particular thing, how to make that time happen, how to have that discipline in yourself to make that happen for yourself. Most people have got that in areas of their life, such as work. You get to work on time. If you could just do that for yourself, well, then you'd be training your horse regularly. You'd be ignoring what everybody says. So you can see it does get deep into psychology. I've had people say that they haven't got the money. And so we just need to check that our relationship with money is working correctly, because just little voice at the side going, you don't deserve to spend that money on that horse. You're spending all that money on yourself when you could be spending it on somebody else or something else. The thing with money, like with time, is you have to prioritize it. I'm sorry, but you do have to have some joy for yourself. And it may even be that you need to find ways to allocate monies, bring more monies in, observe your spending, whatever it is that you're avoiding doing now, and then find that you're not paying for the instructor, and you're not paying for the clinic, and you're not paying for the thing that would move you on. I've had people say that their main problem is their weight and flexibility and fitness. Whoa, we're into the fitness industry now, and there's so much hypnotherapy and hypnosis, of which I've been a great fan for so long. And diets, the diet that you're going to research, that you're going to stick to, back to your self-assertiveness, the exercise that you're going to do, so that you don't feel that you're not fit to ride this horse, so that you can feel that you're making progress. In all these areas of your life, you're either progressing or diminishing. You don't just stay at the same level. So you have to move. So we have to move in the progressing way. Everybody's happy when they're progressing. When you're getting better at something, you're happy, provided you don't compare yourself to somebody else. But that comes back to the self-assertiveness bit. See how it all ties in? All ties in lovely. All those modules are backed up with me on the Zoom every week. Right here on your computer, we've got the people who are taking part in the course. It's got some amazing results. There's a money back guarantee, so if you start for the first, it's 3 months long. You've got the whole of the first month to make up your mind if you want to do it, if you don't want to do it. If it's not for you, do actually make use of that first month. What's the worst is when I know that people aren't doing the course, and then they're like, this isn't for me, and I want to dib out. Can I have a refund? I don't mind giving the refunds, because if we're not a good fit, then it's not my job to shoehorn people into courses that they don't want to do. But sometimes I know that you haven't given it a go, so please give it a go, because even in the first month you'll get so much out of it. And then there's a community around it as well, of course. And those of you who are on the Enjoy Your Horse page will know a little bit of what that community is like. But with all the knowledge that I've just spoke about, everybody singing off the same page about how your mind works for everything: your horses, your career, your relationship with time, your relationship with money, your relationship with fitness, the way you perceive yourself. And that is what the ultimate Rider Confidence course is all about. So that's my rundown. I hope you see how it works. I hope you see why it evolved. It actually evolved from people saying, can I come and learn to rear? And this is where we've ended up. There's no other course like it. The hypnotherapy section alone, I take you through my entire education through being a hypnotherapist rather, and that alone cost me $2,000 to go and do that. I teach you some super neat tricks and techniques for I'm not going to say, for psychological advantage. I'll leave it there. Super cool. I'm going to read the comments and see what anybody's been saying. So if you've got a comment, I'm going to go and read them now. So stick them in. I've really enjoyed this, actually. Really enjoyed it. Oh, Maxine, what a lovely thing to say. I'm going to put that up in lights. Where is it? Where is it? Maxine, thank you very much. Oh, see, we got this community, and I know exactly what she's talking about there. Still benefiting from your course. Your words often come to mind, not just with the horses, but in other parts of my life too. Hit the mark, hit the mark, hit the mark. Super. Thank you very much. You can see I'm beaming. That's really made my day. Oh, Joe said something nice as well. The course has changed my mindset, not just with my horse riding, but with my life too. Hypnosis is amazing. No more apprehension, anxiety for me. And now just enjoying my horse and doing bite sizes. Super cool. Good point, Joe, because the whole point of bite sizes, as we get into, is managing your expectations, which comes back to your self-image. If your bite sizes are too big, you're going to fail at them, obviously, and you're not going to learn anything. If your bite sizes are small, you can quite happily not succeed, and you're just part of learning. You become a student. Or wouldn't you rather have a self-image of, look, I'm off again? Love it. I do love it, actually. Super cool. And then we've got a random person. I don't know if you can see this, the chat, called Dragon Player ZT, and God knows what he is doing here. He's from Brazil. Lovely. Jill, I don't know what you're referring to. You put your hands over your ears. What's very polite? I don't know. Look, if you're watching this on replay, I am more than happy to answer any questions. If you've got specific questions, I'll come on again and make another video. If you want to get the change of mindset, that means you can enjoy your horse. And I've got another tagline that I thought of that years ago that I think is quite good. There is a whole exhilarating world out there waiting for you and your horse to enjoy. It is exhilarating. I remember what it was like to be frightened. I remember what it was like to be exhilarated and feeling like you can do anything. I know the path between them. Look, I'm going to shut up now. I've done lots of talking. It's been a joy talking to you. Put any questions or comments in the chat, and if you have got any questions, specific questions, look, you can, if you book up to the course before you start, we'll have a phone call to make sure that it's an absolute fit. So don't worry. I'm not signing up anybody to whom it's not right. There we are. I want successes. I want people to enjoy their horses. I know exactly what it feels like for you. And I know that you could follow the path that I and other people have followed and sort that out and have a great time. It's £497, which is quite expensive, but it is 3 months long and probably costs less than a new pair of boots and 3 months of fly spray. It's worth thinking about. Wouldn't it be good in 5 years' time that you're zooming around on your horse going, do you know what? 5 years ago, I did a 3-month course. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. Right, catch you later. Put some comments in. Give me something to answer. I'm here for your service. Little dressage nod at the end there. Catch you later, Bill and Ted.